Alright, what's going on, everybody? This is the chart from my morning trades on QQQ. As you can see, these red boxes are my entries, green boxes are my exits and profit. Before I kind of go into my entries, I'm going to show you what I was talking about, how generally the range, the pre-market price action will dictate the range that Qs will be trading in, high or low, right? So on Webull, if you go over here to your settings, you control extended hours. Bam, right? So pre-market, aftermarket's in blue. So we look here, right? This is going to be the pre-market low, 438.42. Then let's go. The pre-market high is what? 440.90. Look at that, 438.92, 440.90. Once we opened up, we showed off. I could drag this support line down here. Boom. Look at that. Touch the close of that candle in the pre-market, and that's where that sell-off went to. Now, like I said, this is typical behavior. This is something I look for in the morning, whether if it's going up in pre-market, I kind of anticipate usually a little pop and a drop, or just a sell-off to this level, and vice versa. If it's selling off in pre-market, I look for a little bit stronger move than the rip up. But yeah, so once I noticed that, I was too preoccupied to kind of take the morning short. So once I kind of missed this move right here, I just waited. I was like, I'm just going to play the bounce. So with that being said, this is a 5-minute chart. So here's the open, 6:30. And this is 6:50. So 20 minutes. Yeah, 20 minutes. It sold off, right? So why I entered this first trade? Let me turn this off. Simply because I noticed this double bottom. You see that wick right here? That's a strong rejection off of this level, right? So once I seen this form and this green candle, it bottomed it out right here, I said, all right, I'm gonna take a trade. So I entered here with 10 contracts. Now I didn't sell here because I noticed, one, that this runner got pushed down, and then I figured, I was like, I'm gonna play the morning level of to see it's gonna retest the 440, at least 441. So once it sold off, I noticed it created, what's that, a higher low. But I wanted to wait for confirmation. This purple line is VWAP. I respect this, indicator a lot. I'm a VWAP trader. So what that means is whenever price is below this line, generally you want to look to short. And when price breaks that line, you generally want to look for long, to go long. So here, once price broke through, rejected, but it closed higher than this bar, I entered the trade. Broke through VWAP, showed a strong rejection here at the top of the range, which was 440, 441. And I even misplayed this one because when I exited, I noticed that this setup right here. Let me, if I can just move that. It's a bull flag, right? Look at that strong. There's a pole. Strong wicks right there. That means every time it got sold off, buyers bought it in. Buyers bought it in. The minute it touched this line right here, this is a 5 moving average. Why I use this right here is because this is the average price within the trading week, and this is the average price for the day. So I take the two averages that I think price, day traders are going to be looking at. Of course, you can go through the 20, the 50, and the 200. But these are mainly two indicators that I use for resistance and support. And other than that, I make a range to see where price is going to break out. So that's another strategy I utilize, are range breakouts. Because often range breakouts, they fail. First time it's going to fail, but see, this right here shows me whenever we tested VWAP that this is going to be support for the day. Right, so again, this was my second trade here on the higher low, break a VWAP. Started to show weakness and consolidation here. Once I seen this engulfing candle, I was like, I'm going to close my trade. Could have went short and re-entered on these candles once that VWAP and support was established. There's your trend, right? Bounce, bounce, almost bounce, almost bounce, almost bounce, and then again. So these are generally the things that I look for when it comes to the Qs. Very typical behavior. If you play this, every day, it becomes very easy to anticipate these types of moves. I traded QQQ for 3 months straight just to kind of gain consistency, and because QQQ always has market participants, right? So there's always going to be volatility. Even on low volume days, there's opportunity. Just got to be quick. But that's something I recommend. If you're struggling with consistency, just focus on one ticker, and then you learn its behavior. QQQ is an easy ticker to learn. Like I said, it has market participants every day, market volatility, and predictable behavior. It's always number one. Alright, let's go to my next trade. Let's see here. Oh, alright, that's Bitcoin. Mara, right? This wasn't my second trade, but I'll go over why I actually took this one as a high risk swing, because it was kind of getting sold off. It's the last day and a half, right? I noticed this consolidation. I missed the rip up just because I was focusing on QQQ. But once this breakdown happened, you can kind of see support here, right? We're selling off, but the RSI here is kind of flat. So you kind of see that correlation. That means buying is starting to pick up on these downs, these little downs, pullbacks. But also look at the wicks. Sold off, pulled up, sold off, pulled up, sold off, pulled up. And that's a strong hammer candle, right? So I'm like, okay, I'm going to make a small position. I think I bought 2 contracts on the break of the 5 MA, thinking that's going to be bullish. It pulled back, started consolidating, and then it ripped up. In hindsight, if I wanted to make this a day trade, this would have been the perfect exit. You have a long wick on the top of a red candle, that's reversal. Or you could look to go short right here, of course. But I was anticipating it to kind of break through this blue line. This was going to be my clear sky breakout to 21 and up, but it didn't. And during this period, this is when Bitcoin started to sell off too, which is why I have this chart, right? This period is when Mara was selling off that I just showed you. It's on a 30-minute chart, right? So I went on a pretty long pullback before ripping through, and generally Mara correlates very strongly with Bitcoin. But after I actually entered that trade, I realized that today was Mara's earnings. Generally, I don't ever hold things through earnings, just from prior experience. But this one, and knowing Mara being a high volatility stock, if it reported good earnings like I kind of anticipated, and Bitcoin breaks through its resistance of 63,000, which it did, now it's consolidating. I believe it can go for a retest of 64, 65. Then I believe that position, even though it's red, it could still make a pump, a pull up. It can gap up above VWAP as it's kind of consolidating. Let's check out the aftermarket. Yeah. See, we broke down into that falling wedge, broke out. Now we're consolidating right around VWAP. So I believe that we might even gap up to like 20 in the morning and then retest this high and break out. So if not, I'll definitely be looking to trade this into next week. But there's my reasoning for Mara. Snap. Snap has been pissing me off for like 2 weeks. I've been trying to short this thing ever since post earnings, but I gotta give it credit where credit's due. This is a very strong stock, moving right now. Reason why I first started shorting it last week. Let's see, because of RSI. RSI was above 80. It was running for 5 days, but here's a little thing about RSI. Just because it's overbought doesn't mean it's necessarily going to have an extensive pullback, right? Because there are traders, there are strategies that people look for overbought signals because that's a signal of strength, so that, look at this strong move. It sold off for a little bit, but it sold off into a consolidation and then ripped again. So that's just one thing. You can get easily tricked out. I have, lesson learned. I'm not just going to jump the gun just because something's oversold. I'm going to wait for confirmation. And when I made that alert again today to short it, was one I noticed this breakdown, that double top 719, consolidation, breakdown again. And this was all early in the morning. It tried to reclaim VWAP, and once it got rejected from VWAP, I didn't enter this trade because I wasn't looking at it at the time. But when I did, I noticed that it broke down in this range, so I entered this trade. This was, I believe, I entered the 16 puts for 1 day expiration. It went sideways, so I was hoping for a strong continuation on the downside, but it didn't. Generally don't like holding when it consolidates, but I noticed it wasn't able to break out of this range, so I was just waiting for hopefully a strong move down to 16. Didn't happen. There was a lot of support down over here, and I ended up closing the trade once it broke above the 5 MA. Small, I think this was like a 30% win, but also a lot, I thought it was going to be a bigger bust, but there's a lot of eyes and names on it, so for it to drop a whole dollar, that's actually a pretty big move, but still a good win. And here's ARM. Alright, so before even going too deep into things, notice this big gap down last night. I figured there's going to be some type of continuation, whether it be to the upside or the downside, right? Because that's a big overreaction, but there's a reason for it. So if it has that much of a magnitude of a move down, that means there could be some consolidation and then another pull down. So I waited, but once I seen it break above VWAP with this strong of a move, this small red bar, right? That's a doji, so that seems like there's a balance between the buyers and sellers. Sold off, and I seen that hammer candle. That's when I entered because it broke above both of my moving average. Strong move upward off of that little sell-off, right? So I was like, I'm just gonna take a small, almost like a YOLO trade. I bought 2 contracts, kind of forgot about it throughout the day, and then when I checked, it was in this range. So I was like, okay, I'm gonna pay more attention to it, see if it's gonna fill the complete gap and run and reclaim, like a new morning high. But it didn't. Sold off strong, and once I seen this big bar forming, I just got out. I was like, just because the extent of this move, the relative volatility that it's experiencing, and that gap down, I didn't trust this because it's technically a lower high, right? So that means it could sell off, consolidate, and sell off even more. As the day went by, I watched it, right? It respected VWAP. It's kind of following the trend of the 5 MA. When it hits it, bounces, hits it, bounces. So I thought I was going to break above into this general range again, but it didn't. Went sideways. It did, but I didn't sell right here because I was looking for a stronger move up. But that's a double top, lower high. Clear rejection. Actually move this trend line right there if I want to make one. Let's see. There. That's better. So we are going sideways. I wouldn't be surprised if there's another retest of VWAP tomorrow in the morning, if anything, if a gap down. But what I'm hoping is we're setting new lower highs here. Even though we're making higher lows, or lower highs, we're making higher lows. Excuse me. So hopefully this consolidates and retest to break that yesterday's morning open high. So if that works out, great. Low risk, high reward. But if not, if it breaks VWAP, I'll cut the trade. So, alright, I think that's all the trades that I took today. But yeah, I hope this helps. If you have any questions more specifically about candlesticks or support and resistance or my indicators, just let me know. And then I'll do more of these videos, and then I could do videos on analysis as well. But like I said, I hope you guys learn from these little trade reviews. But also too, if you want trade reviews kind of typed out, I don't mind doing that as well. It just takes me a little bit more time. So video, I can review most of the trades or all the trades that I take for the day, and then review some of your guys' tickers that you want done as well. But as always, goal is green, not greed. Tomorrow's a new day. Let's get it.